Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the discriminant of a quadratic. And to do this, we're going to just need to remember what we did in the last video, which is talking about quadratics and the quadratic formula. And then we'll be able to tell the number, and type of solutions. Number and type of solutions for what? Well, for ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And the only restriction we place on that is a is not 0. This is just your general quadratic. We're going to look at the number and types of solutions of it. But we already know what a solution to the quadratic is. It's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that divided by 2a. This is the quadratic formula we derived in the last video, and the one thing I'm going to point out here is that this can actually be written slightly differently. It can be written as negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And this is where the discriminant comes in. It's this thing under the radical. What it tells you is whether this second fraction, the one that you're adding or subtracting, it tells you whether that fraction is getting 0 added to it, or a real number, or a complex number. And that's going to depend on the domain of the radical. So let's take a look at how that would go. So if the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac equals 0, what we end up with is negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2a. Well, that's just b squared over 2a twice. So we say that is 1 repeated real. I'm going to say solution, but I could say root or 0 or several other different things, but we'll stick with solution for now. Now, if b squared minus 4ac is positive, we look over here and we get negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of a positive number, which you should know is just another positive number. So what that means is it's b squared over 2a plus or minus some positive number. That means we have two distinct real roots, zeros, or solutions. And finally, if we're less than 0, just going back over here to the quadratic formula, we have negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of a negative number. Well, the square root of a negative number is an imaginary number. It's I times the square root of whatever. So this is going to get what we call complex conjugate solutions. And before I move on, I'm just going to point out that a complex number, x squared plus iy, its conjugate is x minus iy. So you can see how that's just plus or minus. That's what's going on right here. We'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. Well, thanks for watching. Hope it's informative. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.